We're here with another episode of Sox Talk with Will Middlebrooks. I'm your host, Greg Dudek. Before we get into talking about what the Red Sox are going to do at the upcoming MLB trade deadline, I first got to apologize to you, Will. We taped our first episode of Sox Talk last week.
You don't need to apologize.
No, I have to.
No,
Hands up.
no
It's
way.
on me. It's on me. I failed to fully introduce you and your big-time credentials.
Stop it.
Of why we
won't take
needed
long.
to do this. It's a bigger list than you think, Will. Here's 6 seasons in the big leagues.
Take it.
Parts of 3 seasons with the Red Sox, 2012 to 2014,
That's
right?
it, yep.
You 2013 World Series champ. I'm sure I probably should have let off with that one. That's
the
a
coolest
nice
part.
one. Yeah,
That's the coolest part.
You don't have the ring on today. I don't know when you bring the ring out, but that's probably the biggest one there. One we talked about earlier this season, last player to hit a home run off Mariano Rivera.
That's my trivia question.
Yep, trivia question. Well, all the bars in Massachusetts have to have
no
that
one knows
one.
the answer.
and that's a pretty good list right there. And now, obviously, you've transitioned over into my line of work, media.
The dark side.
The dark side,
The dark
absolutely. Nesson in studio and in the booth analyst for Red Sox games. Find them on pre and post. Find them in the booth. Always bringing great insight, mixing the advanced analytics with the eye test. We're going to just dive right into trade deadline talk. And
a week away.
A week away.
Oh, I'm sweating. This team's not making it easy on us.
I think the Red Sox are sweating a little bit too. What do you want the Red Sox to do? What are your expectations of Craig Breslow, a former teammate of yours? What kind of direction do you want to see him go in at the MLB trade deadline?
Well, he really doesn't have a track record because he's new to this side of things. Obviously, he spent time in Chicago, worked under Theo, did some stuff there with them, but he hasn't ever been the guy in the seat, pushing the buttons per se. So I don't know what to expect. I think he does. I think the player in him still believes in this team because he sees past the business side of it. And I think that's an advantage. We saw that in Texas with Chris Young. We see it across baseball in multiple spots where there's guys who played the game in this baseball ops position where they can see past just the analytics and the advanced metrics and the swing speed and the spin rate, all that stuff. And they can see into a clubhouse. And where it might make sense to trade a guy because he's not coming back, like Kenley Jansen, Tyler O'Neill, Pavetta, stuff like that. You might not get them back. Good chance you're not going to get those guys back. But they mean a lot to your team, and they mean a lot to your clubhouse. And I think there's a lot of people giving up on this team because of a 4-game skid.
Yep.
They could easily be 3-1. They're not. They're 0-4 since coming out of the break. I get that. And that matters. Record matters. Playoff probability matters when you're making these decisions. But I'm not ready to give up on this team. I don't think a 4-game skid changes who they are. I think they need help.
Everyone was in on them.
They need help. You have a rotation that is full of guys who are reaching career highs in innings pitch. We talked about that last time we spoke. And Tanner Houck and Crawford, Bayos that could get there at some point because I think 153 is his high, so he'll get past that likely. And then you're leaning on guys like Criswell, like we're going to have him pitching.
There's a
and
couple
do you want him?
holes there,
There are
right?
holes there, and you can add. You're seeing the bullpen in a bad spot right now, just because Jansen, because of his heart issues, can't go to Colorado with an elevation.
No
Martin,
Slayton.
Slayton. Those are the two that really have killed this team the last couple days. Because not only are guys being overused, you're having to use guys who aren't high leverage guys in certain situations. Now you had like Bernardino, who is one of the best lefties against lefties in baseball. Freddie Freeman doesn't hit lefties well. He's hitting 230 something off lefties.
On Friday night,
but he hit a hanging slider and he beat him on that pitch and that at bat because he's one of the best players in baseball, and that's what can happen. I don't, and there's the conversation, you shouldn't have walked Will Smith to get to Freddie Freeman. He's one of the best. You want to set up a double play, and you like the lefty-lefty matchup, and you trust your guy. He hung a slider, and Freddie Freeman didn't miss it. That's just baseball, and it happens. Is it frustrating? Absolutely, but that was the right play. All these games, really except for Sunday, was winnable. The last game against the Dodgers. So I'm not ready to give up on them. I think they need help. And we can get into that. What we want to do to help them.
Yes,
if
exactly,
we were the GM.
Well, let me have you put your GM cap on.
All
have
right.
you pretend to be Craig Breslow right now. What area do you think the Red Sox should address, and what names are you kind of looking at for them to target?
There's 3 areas. Obviously, I would love a starting pitcher. I mean, 2 starting pitchers would be in a perfect world, right? But you don't want to drain your system. You don't want to go all in on a rental of a guy who isn't going to be here next year. I would love a back-end bullpen arm, and I would love a right-handed bat to go, because
that's a big wish list.
It is. It's 3 guys, but it's doable, and I think there's different ways to go about it. Tristan Casas is not. I don't think he's that close to being back. It could be September. Could be the end of August, early September.
Right now,
and
right?
and at what point and what version of him are you going to get? He hasn't played. He's going to need to go on a rehab assignment. Knowing him, he's going to play 2 games and say, I'm ready. But that, getting back into the swing of big league pitching is hard. So I would love to see a right-handed bat to face lefties, so Dom Smith doesn't have to do that.
This team's issues with left-handed pitching.
Right, and you don't want to have to put Romy and Gonzalez at first. He can do it, but you also would like to use him more as a Swiss Army knife in other places as well. So Ty France just got DFA'd.
Yep.
He cleared waivers today, which means he was outrighted off of the roster. So you can sign him and pay him a prorated league minimum, which is nice. And Seattle's still on the hook for his contract, which wasn't massive. But he's had a down year. He hasn't hit lefties like he normally does. I think he's just hitting 240 against lefties. But in that same breath, why not take a flyer there? Mm-hmm. Try it. If it doesn't work for a couple weeks, you get rid of him. It's not costing you a lot of money.
Yep.
So I say take a chance. He's got a pretty good OPS at Fenway in his career. Now, as far as starting pitching go, this is where it can get a little weird. I don't want a rental. Yep. I don't want a Flaherty or a Kikuchi or
not as much upside with
Evaldi.
Those things, right?
Like Evaldi. Like I love Nathan Evaldi. I love
we'll
Nathan Evaldi.
Evaldi's my guy.
You got to put the sentiment aside. I love him, and I would love him here.
I just think
he's very expensive,
and
he has a vesting option of $20 million next year, and that's based off of incentives and innings. I don't know what those numbers are.
I heard that gets a little confusing when you get into the vesting
I'm sure it's innings based, and he's been healthy for a good amount of the year, so good chance.
I think he missed a month with a groin.
He missed a month, but I think he still has a chance to get to the certain innings. So that's a lot of money too for next year. Which this is a team where there's other places you can do a lot with $20 million. Yep. You can have 3 good players.
I'm nostalgic about it.
No, I get it.
This guy's a playoff
I get it.
performer.
I'm just looking down the list. Like Jack Flaherty, he's had a really good year. You're still going to owe him about $4.5 million for the last 2 months of the season. He's also a rental. Mm-hmm. He's gone after the season. Jamison Tyone, I really like him, but he's making $18 million the next 2 seasons, and that's a lot for a guy that's going to give you about a 4 ERA.
Yep.
He's going to give you innings. He does have an injury history, which we know, major injuries. Yep. So that's concerning. And you say Kikuchi, love his strikeout stuff. He's making $10 million this year, also would be a rental. He's a free agent. And you got to think those in-division moves. Zach Eflin, another guy, he's making $18 million next year.
The Red Sox were in on.
They were, and he wanted to be here, but then ended up going there. He's a hometown. Yep. That's closer to where he grew up. But those in-division moves, if the Blue Jays or the Rays are going to trade you a player in division, they're going to ask for more than they would from someone else, because those guys are going to help beat them essentially, especially if it's a Zach Eflin, who, yes, it is $18 million, but he is still on the team next year, which I like. I don't like the price tag. I'm going down the list right now. Garrett Crochet, love him, right? Making $800,000. He's controllable the next 2, but that's going to cost you 1, if not more, of your top prospects, top 4 prospects of those untouchables, the Myers, the Roman Anthonys, the Kyle Teal, now Christian Campbell, also one of those guys who has broken into the top 100 prospects in baseball. I'm looking more, what I think is realistic is like an Eric Fetty. Okay. Chicago White Sox. He went to Korea, kind of rebuilt himself. He's on a 2-year, $15 million deal, so
much
7.5, much more reasonable. He has that sinker, cutter, change-up combination that really fits the mold of what Andrew Bailey and Breslow and what they like in guys. So the profile of his pitches, obviously more cost-effective. And I just don't I don't think he's going to cost you as much, as far as prospects go. I hear the price is high, but it's also all prices high a week before, right? You wait till the day before, and that price will drop.
Especially for a team like the White Sox, they're way
exactly.
out of it. They're going to look to
they're going to offload him, because even though it's only 7.5, that's 7.5 they don't want to have to spend. They don't have to. Now, here's a fun one. This is
what we do.
It's fun, but it's not a big name.
Okay.
This is a definite buy low. Reed Detmers.
Okay.
All right. He's in AAA. He's in AAA right now.
Now you're really getting fun. A guy in AAA.
Yeah, but this would be like a reclamation, like rebuild type guy, because you remember he threw a no-hitter a couple of years ago, right?
Did he really?
I think so. I might be losing my mind, which good chance. But he's had some good times with the Angels. He started this year, his first 3 or 4 starts. First 4 starts, he had a 1.19 ERA, was dealing, and then the wheels fell off. It was weird. You dig into his advanced metrics. You look at his launch angle against him has gone up like 5 degrees. The barrel rate has doubled. That sounds terrible. Just hear me out. I think, and he hadn't done well in AAA either, which this keeps getting better.
Case for this guy.
But you can buy low on this. He's under control till 2028.
You love the control. You're all about the control.
Well, I'm about, yes, I want to help this team. I want guys who give innings this year. I understand that. I've just seen what guys can do under Andrew Bailey, and I've seen his stuff be good, really good.
And they definitely need that 5 spot.
Right.
I feel like Criswell is more not the answer spot.
He's not the savior. He's not a guy who's going to come in and be your top 2 starter. No, like we need depth. The Sox need depth, and this is would be, I think, a pretty cheap addition. I don't think it would cost you any top prospects. Nick York is in every trade talk right now because he's having a good year, and I don't know where his ceiling is. I'm not sure. I'm not too dialed in on his career, but I know he's having a good year.
Yeah.
AAA, he's up to AAA and playing well. So I don't know if that's a good matchup for him. Detmers, I think you can buy low on it. It's just like this isn't my guy. I'm telling you, he's going to save us.
Yeah, just kind of bolster rotation.
Take a chance there with Bailey, with Breslow, the new infrastructure of the pitching with the pitching development system here, and just see what you can get. I'm just not. I just can't go rental. I can't go where it's going to cost you.
No rentals. You want to buy.
I want to help this team, but it just. Helping this team is beyond this year, because I'm looking at the core group of players on this team, and they're good, and they've emerged this year. Like last year, it was like, okay, here's these guys, let's see what happens. Okay, they had an okay year. This year, guys, obviously no Casas hurts because that kind of slowed his development. But Duran, David Hamilton, Rafaela, even Devers taking step forwards offensively as far as like walk rate, his strikeout rate. Like he's much more approach at the plate. So where am I leaving off? Relief pitcher, which is what's killing us right now. So there's the list of these guys, which I love Tanner Scott from Miami. I think he's going to take a lot. He's going to take a lot. But there's another guy in Miami that I would take, Anthony Bender.
Okay. What do you like about him?
Everything. Everything. He throws 96 with sink, like a lot of movement.
Okay.
He fits a perfect Andrew Bailey mold. One of the best sweepers in baseball.
Okay.
Very elite profile sinker as well. Changeup is plus. It's probably his 3rd best pitch, but it's still good. But his sinker sweeper combination is very good. Also under team control until 2028. So it's a guy who was not making a lot of money. He's 29 years old. He's making $770,000 this year. All right.
Perfect.
Yeah, perfect. Like just over league minimum.
Trying to stay within budget here.
And he has 3 years of team control left. So I really like his stuff. And there's another guy from Washington as well. If you maybe wanted to package with Fetty, John Brebbia, who's I'm pretty sure he's from Massachusetts. He's a local guy. That's irrelevant, but throw that in there. But 4-seam slider guy. He was with Bailey in San Francisco in 21, 22, and 23. Really good strikeout to walk rate. The last 2 months, he has a 1.4 ERA. So if they're selling and you do a package with them, That might be a guy you could get Fetty and him together. We didn't really get into the right-handed bats. I'm kind of taking the mic. I'm going to let you talk a little bit.
Sounds good. Well, I was going to throw a couple names at you. Like I said, Nathan Eovaldi was someone I
knew you would. I could see it in your eyes.
Let's pencil this guy in for the rotation. If you get in the playoffs, you know what you're getting in Nathan Eovaldi. Throw him out there. Even throw him out there game one. You know he's going to give you a quality start in the playoffs. But we talked about him a lot. Let's talk about a right-handed bat because that's obviously someone they need. It feels like someone who can play the field a little bit, but can also be in that DH role, kind of platoon with
There's a couple guys out there,
right?
Yeah.
I was just for shits and giggles just looking at some things like JD Martinez would maybe be fun. He's on again that would be a rental,
right?
Which I know you don't like.
I don't love. But same
love.
Would be with like Justin Turner.
Same
another type
guy,
thing.
A Red Sox guy last year, down here in Toronto though, right?
I like JD the hitter. I don't love JD in the clubhouse.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Yep.
And I could be totally wrong. That's just from the outside looking in. But I think we know Justin Turner is a fit with these guys.
Yep. Great guy last year.
Great clubhouse guy. Great for these young guys.
Yep.
We talked about Ty France.
Can play a little first base too with.
He can play third if you need him to.
Yep.
Hopefully Rafi's there every day.
Yep.
We talked about Ty France and his situation. But a guy who stands out to me, Brent Rooker.
Yep. Obviously.
He's hitting 290 with 22 bombs.
What they
also
need.
Team control for the next 3 seasons till 2028. He's making $750,000 right now. I just think I know the A's they don't do a lot that makes sense, and it would not make sense for them to move him. It really wouldn't make sense to move Mason Miller either because like those are guys who aren't making money. They're young, they're controllable. Those are the guys you should keep and build around if you're in Oakland A, a Las Vegas A, a Sacramento A, whatever they're going to be.
Yeah, whatever they're going
to be. But I think they could get something for those guys, and they might. I think they move at least one of them. And if Brent Rooker goes, I would love to see him here. I just don't know if. Same with I'm looking at Yandy Diaz, right? But like I think Yandy Diaz and Brent Rooker are guys that need to play every day.
Gotcha.
So just something you need to think about too is like how are they going to deal with being a platoon player and not playing every day? Can they handle that? They've probably never done that in their careers. Yandy Diaz.
Takes a different mindset.
He plays
right,
every single day. It's hard. You lose rhythm. It takes Justin Turner can do it.
Yeah,
we've seen him do it. I don't know about Ty France. No idea. He struggled this year. But Brent Rooker and Yandy Diaz are everyday players, so that could be tough. So Justin Turner, to me, in that role, seems like he makes the most sense.
What about someone I was looking at names? What about someone like Lane Thomas, outfielder from Washington, right? Under team control through next year, I believe. Crushes lefties. I think it's been 319.
He's played some first base too.
He's played. I know outfield right too as well. Do you see? I think he would probably cost a little bit more than if you're kind of going the bargain route.
You got me looking up contracts right now. Lane Thomas. This is what we're doing live. I mean, we've got to know. That's what matters.
He's controlled through.
So he's making 5.45 this year.
Not too bad.
But he's ARB. So that was he avoided ARB. So he's under team control for next year, which is nice. Obviously not like a league minimum type player, but he's still under team control, and they can decide if they want to offer him a contract or not.
Okay.
So I like that too.
Okay.
I'm about control. I'm just. I love the core of this team, and I don't want to tear apart our system that has been rebuilt over the last few years for a rental.
Okay.
Just makes no sense to me. Like, you have to look.
Now is not the time.
You have to look after. No, because this team doesn't scream World Series team to me. If it did, then you go 2018 and make big trades and go do what you got to do to go win a World Series, like the Dombrowski route, right? I don't know that's who this team is. Can they get in and make some noise? Absolutely. They play a different style of baseball, but if all things aren't clicking with this team, you see what can happen. Gotcha. They're not a team that can one thing not work and they still win. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're there yet. But absolutely. I do love the young core, and I want to build around them.
Gotcha. Just real quick, because you've obviously been in an MLB locker room during the trade deadline. What's it like for guys around this time of the season? How does it impact them? Just kind of get a couple quick thoughts on that from you.
The Red Sox clubhouse right now, obviously, it depends on the team. It depends on who's on your team. When I was in the big leagues in 2012 and 2013, 2014 even, there's a lot of veterans coming toward the end of long contracts, expensive contracts, and those are guys that get moved. So it's a little weird. Mm-hmm. I was never that guy, so I never had that uneasy feeling of I'm going to get traded. when I was in Boston was controllable, making league minimum. There was no reason really to move me. I got traded after 2014, but I was broken. I was broken. They were like, yeah, get out of here, dude. But I think this year, this clubhouse, there's a lot of belief inside the doors of like, we're a good team, and it's kind of like a us against the world type thing because there was no expectations for this team. Everyone was down on them. Everyone was counting them out. We all were counting them out, saying this team can't compete. They have some fun pieces, but they're not going to compete. Well, they are. So I think behind closed doors, I mean, you've heard Kinley come out. You've heard Raffy say stuff. You see Trevor Story yesterday speak out saying they got to add. They know where they need to add. They want to get better because they think they can win. So if you sell your guys, if you trade Nick Pivetta, it looks bad because you already have a deficiency in pitching. You'd have no depth pitching, and if you trade one of your starting pitchers, that's a white flag to me. You need a right-handed power bat, right? If you trade Tyler O'Neill, it looks like a white flag to me. Even though those guys are free agents and you could get a prospect pitcher for them, which they lack in the system. Even after the draft, they drafted a lot of guys, a lot of college pitchers who could be someone. You just don't know. And then Kenley Jansen, who I think this is the tough one because it's Kenley Jansen. He's statistically one of the best closers of all time based off of saves. You could get a very good prospect pitcher for him in your system. Upper levels, AA, AAA guy who could impact this roster next season. But what does that do to your clubhouse? Does that tell your clubhouse you don't think you can win if you get rid of your closer? Yes, Liam Hendricks is coming back. He's coming off TJ. You don't know what version of him you're going to get. He could come back and shove and be the same guy, which I think he will. Which if they do trade Jansen, that's going to be a tough decision. I think that'll be their toughest decision. I think they'll be fine with Liam Hendricks, but it's a flip of a coin when a guy's coming right off of TJ.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, I guess we're going to see what they end up doing, right? Well, Will, as always, appreciate your time today speaking with me on Sox Talk with Will Middlebrooks. We'll be back again another time, hopefully soon, to break down what the Red Sox did at the trade deadline. Thanks again, Will. Always fun, man. Appreciate it.
PNC Bank, rooted in communities big and small.